right, good morning. Thank you all for being here, just doing our weekly briefing. And I'll start, like always, with just some brief updates and overviews, and then go right into questions and answer period of our update. So as always, I start with public safety and looking at preliminary data from the New Orleans Police Department the week of June 4th through the 10th compared to the week prior. We continue to we saw fewer murders, aggravated battery, and property thefts compared to the week before. Year-to-date stats using, again, preliminary data from the New Orleans Police Department through June 10th, comparing to 23 to 22, again, continues to show progress. Not even one homicide on last week. Murders down 21%, carjackings 40%, non-fatal shooting incidents are down 9%, non-fatal shooting victims are down 12%, armed robberies down 17%, total crimes against persons down 17%, total crimes against persons down 15%. And as I always do in terms of giving the data and giving the stats, it doesn't mean, right, that we did not have any incidents, meaning folks that found themselves victims of crime in our city and in our community. But again, we have to acknowledge even small growths of progress. Having a week of no homicides, a big deal in the city of New Orleans. As of June 12th, give you the gun confiscations, 1,353 so far this year compared to 1,043. For the same period in 2022, just showing again that increase, getting guns off the street, 29.7%. You know, I say this also again, there's so many guns on our street, but every effort to remove them is a step in the right direction. And we'll continue in that unified command, working with our law enforcement partners, federal partners, to get guns off the streets of the city of New Orleans. We'll also continue to educate, our community relative to gun safety. We know that that too is vitally important. So the New Orleans Police Department will continue on that path with another round of gun safety classes. One following midnight basketball coming up June the 16th at Morris FX Jeff Gym, always a tongue twister for me. June 23rd, St. Bernard Gym, again, gun safety classes. We're just seeing a great response, I would say, from residents participating in these gun safety classes. And so with that, we'll continue to meet our people where they are with the tools and resources that we know they need, but they feel that's, again, something that is educating them on safety measures in our city. The New Orleans Police Department, we continue to hire civilians to be that force multiplier and just freeing up our officers and easing that burden, I would say, on commissioned officers. Our goal is 102 civilians. Today we stand at 76, but continued efforts every single day relative to hiring in the city of New Orleans. To combat the uptick in illegal ATV activity, this is something that I know that our residents are concerned about, and as a result of that, we listen and we deploy strategies. We tweak as we need to be more effective and more impactful. So the 1st and 5th districts, this is where we're seeing these activities. But the 1st and 5th districts, meaning NOPD districts, deployed additional units in high concentrated areas, again, along North Claiborne, where we see this, St. Bernard, as well as Orleans Avenue. Just again, to be proactive and to act against anyone who arrives to unload their ATV to be driven on city highways and, of course, along these areas that I just mentioned. NOPD also patrols gas stations that have seem to be, areas that are involved as well, whether they're staging areas or the like. But as a result of what we see on the ground, just the deployment at gas stations, again, has been a part of our strategy. And again, allowing them to identify operators, kind of being proactive. Where they meet, where they gather, they see a presence, and we do believe that it is having a positive impact on the streets. Crime survey. Now, there was a crime survey issued by the New Orleans Crime Coalition. I am in total disagreement with results of this annual citizen satisfaction survey. It's about 800 residents in the city of New Orleans who respond, 800 out of 340,000 people in our city. And I say this again, every week I say this because it's just a fact, it's true. And I have to always give credit to where it's due. And that's with the hard-working men and women of the New Orleans Police Department who continue to show up and do the work that we're asking them to do in spite of the challenges we face, in spite of the negativity that they continue to hear, the negativity that does have an impact on the psyches of people, our residents, even the men and women who step up to answer the call to protect and serve. But what they do not show you in terms of how it impacts them negatively, because they show up in spite of. And not only showing up in spite of, we're getting results from the work that they do on our behalf every single day. And I have to say, across the city, we can all agree that we need more public safety officers patrolling our communities, patrolling our streets, our neighborhoods, our city, across the board. And that is exactly why the city of New Orleans has deployed a robust retention as well as recruitment strategy to keep our officers, to protect our officers while they're serving us, and add more officers to the rank and file. It's no secret at all. This is something that we have put our skin in the game, resources towards, both funding as on every level, not just in terms of salaries and incentives, but also on tools and resources that our officers themselves has indicated that they need. And without any hesitation, my team, my administration has moved very forward in partnership with the New Orleans City Council, making sure that those funds are properly allocated and hitting the streets for our officers. But I will say, the negative material constantly broadcasted, even by our local media, it has a negative impact. And in the middle of, when we are leading in this country, constitutional policing practices, we're leading in this country, even as it relates to being on the front lines and demonstrating, hosting world-class events, and in spite of keeping our community safe, as well as making sound and solid arrests as they do every day. And it's just demonstrated. So, it goes back to, again, they're dedicated public servants, but more importantly, they are our neighbors, they are community members, they are friends, and they are family. And the majority are from right here, the city of New Orleans. And in addition, again, they have delivered on bringing justice to victims. Always empathetic to the victims of violent crime in the city of New Orleans. One is too many. But we see that the men and women of our department continue to make solid arrests and, again, justice for victims in this city. So I will always reiterate that these efforts cannot be done alone, solely not on the backs of the New Orleans Police Department, and they must be partnered with accountability across the board, meaning all of our criminal justice partners. It's necessary. We are a world-class police department, and we're hiring. And not only that, we have a national search going on. So again, we have to work together to lift up what is so positive going on in the city of New Orleans relative to public safety, because we're doing some unprecedented things. We're making investments that have not been made in decades, and we're seeing results based on that. Switching gears. I'm like, where's that horse? Because I'm going to beat it. I done beat it to death today. So, without further ado, Plaza Tower shift. So, per code enforcement, we know that the owner has completed the new protective measures as well as the exterior to the exterior of the building. And code enforcement has inspected and approved these proactive measures. DPW has now reopened the roadway just based on the inspections that code enforcement has put forth. Officials will now begin submitting all costs incurred to the city for necessary road closures and inspections, and will host a cost hearing. So that is forthcoming. I know that this was also at the request of the New Orleans City Council. It's something that we want to do, no problem doing it, and it will be held, but I cannot and I do not have a date today, but that will be forthcoming. However, the owner will be given a 30-day notice prior to the hearing. But also, again, we know that Flower Tower has been a priority. It's been a priority for redevelopment in our city. We know that it is a complex project. It takes its multiple layers to get it back into commerce. And we will continue to work with all stakeholders as well as ownership. I know that they're in the process of selling the site. And again, we want to ensure the best that we can, that this happens so that we can get the Flower Tower back into commerce. So again, to be clear, code enforcement has just remained aggressive in their work to reduce blight across the entire city of New Orleans. And the same rules and fines apply to ownership, but there are more challenges relative to this site. I also just wanted to make mention of several CEAs that I've had the opportunity and just very happy to sign. And it's relative to mental health services and resources that we desperately need in the city of New Orleans, and putting our resources to work. Addressing public safety as a matter of public health, again, has been a priority for my team, my administration. And that means really addressing root causes, being comprehensive in our approaches, and just being holistic in that regard, which oftentimes includes mental health. Mental health is rooted in terms of the causes. So yesterday I signed 2 CEAs aiding in providing additional mental health support and services to our most vulnerable residents and families in our community. One is tied to grief, trauma, and counseling. Making sure that we meet our people where they are. And this one is with the Children's Bureau of the City of New Orleans, and again, to provide evidence-based grief and trauma counseling to children and youth in the City of New Orleans. This is achieved, again, through partnerships aimed at increasing access to quality care and dismantling the barriers that we know and stigma that we know that exists around mental health relative to our families and what they face every single day. And this has just become very clear to me, to our young people, as I've listened to them over and over again, and mental health is one of their top priorities. And so we know that we're, again, addressing issues as we're listening, but also as we know on the streets of our city. Another CEA that I signed was with Healing Minds NOLA. They will provide community-based outpatient mental health treatment under the order of a civil court commitment. And so this service is for individuals who struggle with severe and persistent mental illness and who have historically had core adherence really to engaging in and maintaining mental health care. And so again, Healing Minds NOLA is a trusted partner, and they have coordinated an assisted outpatient treatment they call AOT, and they're launching it in the city of New Orleans. The New Orleans Health Department just has provided funding for Healing Minds NOLA over the past 2 years, and we're just doubling down on that. And 2 years that have been used to reimburse physicians and psychiatric evaluators that used for filing petitions with these services, assisted outpatient treatment. So again, this is a step in the right direction, and just speaks to our priority of mental health as well as a holistic approach to public safety in our city. This also speaks to the Mobile Crisis Intervention Unit. Very excited about this, something that we've been working on tirelessly. Our team rolled it out on June the 1st, a soft launch of the Mobile Crisis Intervention Unit. On tomorrow, we will have a more thorough press conference with all of our partners, OPCD, the Health Department, NOPD, and all resources relative to human development to officially roll out, again, this program in a holistic manner. But you know what? We've seen tremendous progress just over the past 2 weeks. And it really is the first of its kind initiative in our city with that we've integrated into OPCD and the 911 system, and operate as the fourth arm of our city's first responder system. Since the launch, this unit has responded to approximately 90 calls already. So what that tells us is that our residents understand, the families are calling 911, they know that they are being connected in real time to services to meet them where they are, and with specific needs relative to mental health crises that they're experiencing. And we provide a rapid, again, response to behavioral health calls where weapons or violence are not involved. On last week, there were 4 calls that were redirected to NOPD because that's where they needed to go. Again, as they intersect with weapons and or violence, that's when we engage NOPD. But it has truly been a burden lifter, that force multiplier. We're seeing the results again on the ground relative to the New Orleans Police Department. So again, improving the safety and well-being of our citizens through that holistic lens is something, again, that we'll continue to focus on. The end result will be a multidisciplinary team well-equipped to handle these complex circumstances and more efficient system of care. Again, the responses that I know the health department, even OPCD, just received by some of the family members. They felt trusted, that meaning that they're able to trust the system because they saw, again, their family members receiving the care, again, that they called and said that was needed, meeting our people where they are. Also, the last that I'm going to mention is around our young people and engaging them and listening to our young people. The Mayor's Youth Advisory Council will host the city's first ever teen festival, promoting peace and collaboration, along with bringing awareness to gun violence and teen mental health issues, as well as services. This Gen Z Fest was created by, organized by our teens in this community. Again, listening to them. And I said to them, well, what do you want to do? And they went ahead and told me, and this came from the student body, initially from Warren Easton, and then tied them into the Mayor's Youth Advisory Council, then tied them into NORD's Teen Council. And so this is making sure that we're hearing the voices throughout the city of New Orleans from our young people, whether they are attending public school and or private or parochial school. The needs just seem to be the same, especially as they uplift and highlight mental health services in our city. So on this Saturday, June 17th, from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. on the Lafitte Greenway, 1891 St. Louis, We will hold the first ever teen festival, Gen Z Fest. This is a teen-only event, open to ages 13 to 18, but I tell you, anyone who comes to show the love will be appreciated, and I would say it's just a great time to just also encourage our young people. If you want to go out, share a few words of hope to uplift our young people, this is a one-stop shop. This is the perfect opportunity to do so. But like other outdoor festivals, the teens have planned local music, art, cultural events to uplift our heritage, and this is something, again, we'll have live performances by local youth, artists, teen entrepreneurs who will be vending, as well as a college corner, and as well as jobs for our young people, thinking about onboarding training and workforce development opportunities for our youth. Even just yesterday, we launched Advancing Cities, focusing on green jobs for our youth, for young people as well as young adults in the area of green infrastructure, because we're making so much investments we're putting into infrastructure and wanting to maintain these investments that we're making. So I'm going to just close on. For more information, please contact NORD 658-3027. There's still opportunity for folks to register to participate. But again, it's open to the public. We're asking folks to register because we want to just measure the impact that we see on the ground. And you can also visit the website, www.nordc.org/teens. So with that, I'm going to drink some water, turn it over to John, and then field through your questions.